ever want to see the eclipse? April 8th, 2024. The last total solar eclipse on US soil for 20 years. I had to see it. I had seen two partial eclipses before this. One in Illinois in 2017 and again in Arizona in 2023. I had heard that total eclipses are far superior to partial eclipses. I had hoped this was true because the two partials I'd seen had been interesting, but I wanted something more. I wanted to feel wonder again, for the first time in a long time. I could not have known what an amazing experience it would be. Like many, I chose to view the eclipse in Texas. It's only a 2-hour flight from where I live, and it's a popular route flown by several airlines each day. So flights were going to be economical, right? Right? Well, I achieved the unfortunate milestone of my first time flying Spirit Airlines on this trip. But why? Why would you do that to yourself? Well, because even months ahead of time, before the media had really gotten a hold of the whole eclipse story, Spirit was the only airline selling the flights I needed below $1,000. Jokes aside, the flights were totally fine, but the plane back needed a deep clean. The hotel wasn't cheap either, though this turned out to be a once-in-a-lifetime trip. The cost was well worth it in the end. Coincidentally, my coworker, Rich, was also going to Dallas. I don't know why, but we only found out we'd be in the same city for the eclipse a few weeks ahead of time, so we had a laugh and decided to go together. Rich flew into Dallas before me, on Friday. I arrived on Sunday, the day before the eclipse. Rich and his friends picked me up from the airport. We got barbecue for dinner and then went to a Buc-ee's on the way to the hotel. At its core, Buc-ee's is basically just a really big truck stop. This is my first time going to a Buc-ee's, which is apparently a whole big thing across the South. It was really impressive to see 100 gas pumps at one station, especially since a lot of them were being used. But between you and me, if you've been to a big truck stop before such as Love's, this was only slightly better. They had Buc-ee's beef jerky, Buc-ee's candy, and other local food, which was pretty good, but a lot of the souvenirs were mass market. Overall, a good experience, just not worth the hype. As we sat down for a couple drinks at the hotel's bar, the TV showed signs of ill portent for tomorrow's weather. We would battle cloud cover to the last instant. Despite the clouds, it was a beautiful morning as we set out for the special viewing spot in Cooper Lake State Park to the northeast of Dallas. One of the members of our group, won't say who, sourced a white bedsheet from an unknown location that we used to insulate our behinds from the dewy grass and for some imaging of the eclipse itself. We got to the park around 2 hours before totality, so we had a lot of time to talk, experiment with camera settings, and eat beef jerky. The lead up to totality really isn't much to write home about until the moon begins to cover at least 80% of the sun. That's when the light really begins to change. Rich snapped this awesome picture at around 30% coverage. Thankfully, the clouds were beginning to burn off. Alright, we're at 85 to 90% coverage. It's at this point that the sun's light really begins to look different as you look at the things around you. Hopefully it's coming through on film. I had never seen anything like this before. I don't know quite how to put it into words, but it's almost like the sun's light is polarized, instead of shining evenly in all directions like normal. You feel like you should see long shadows everywhere, almost as if the sun is setting, but you don't. Almost there. Okay. 3, 2, 1.
That's so cool.
Really dark. Yeah. I didn't expect it to be. It's crazy what that last little bit does. Yeah, right?
I can see a planet.
It is now safe to remove your solar filter glasses. Totality. A fancy word to describe that precious moment of amazement I felt. I had been so worried that the clouds would ruin the reason why I paid all this money and spent all this time and came all this way. But they didn't. They cleared right at the perfect time. All of that uncertainty washed away in an instant. In our modern world, we're so over-entertained. Nothing is new to us, nothing surprises us, nothing inspires us. But this was new to me. This inspired me. That 4 minutes of wonder, I'll remember for the rest of my life. Especially now that it's immortalized in this video that I can pass down to my children and review if my memory ever fails me. Those little pink blobs you see are actually solar prominences on the edge of the sun's disk. They were clearly visible to the naked eye. You'll see them bigger in a minute. And those were the best pictures I could get with my own gear. Here's NASA's magnified view. And here are my favorites, Rich's photos that he took on real film with special filters and had developed at a professional photo lab. These ones are digital. And yes, that dark little spot on the sun is a sunspot. It may look small, but the Earth would fit right into it. Crazy to think about. And with the blinding flash, totality was over as quickly as it had come. The clouds that had cleared so graciously just a few short minutes before slid back into place in front of the sun.
All right, and I'm out of film.
Nice.
As if great hands had yanked them aside for those critical seconds and then lost their grip.
Back so fast.
What the heck?
Wasn't that something?
Very cool. That's cool.
Now technically, the eclipse wouldn't be over for the couple of hours it would take for the moon to slide all the way back off the sun's disk, but we had all had enough of sitting in one place. We took a short hike into the woods to see the still wildly distorted crescent shadows shining through the branches of the trees surrounding us. We had a late lunch in Sulphur Springs, a small nearby town, which was absolutely flooded with eclipse tourists. Surprisingly, parking wasn't bad, and we only had to walk a block off the beaten path to find immediate seating at a local Mexican restaurant. With lunch done, we had a rest, then had dinner and knocked back a few cold ones at the hotel's bar. The bartender was a real star. She even tried the quail eggs that Rich had gotten his hands on back at Buc-ee's. Yeah, a jar of pickled quail eggs. They weren't the freshest eggs I've had, but honestly, pretty good, especially paired with a Shinerbach. And since we were in Texas, we went shooting the next morning. Then had Cajun for lunch and scurried off to the airport to catch our flights home. Well, I think you can see why people are crazy for eclipses. I didn't get it myself until I saw a total eclipse with my own eyes. Now, I would be lying if I said I wasn't considering going to Greenland for the next total eclipse in 2026. That's up in the air right now, but until then, you can expect a lot more travel videos of Japan and maybe a few more countries. This channel may yet turn from Telly's Japan travels to Telly's world travels. With that said, thanks for watching. Please give the video a like and share it with a friend or family member. Next up, episode 4 of my trip to Japan, which includes my visits to Okayama, Himeji, and Kyoto, will be out soon. See you there.